The views and opinions of the guest do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
This is Chris Knight of Damage Inc., and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour, your source for all hard rock, heavy metal, new metal, alternative, punk, horror punk, hardcore, rock, and all local bands, with your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I am your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather. As always, I'm bringing you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today, it's an honor and a privilege to have Mr. Chris Knight. He is the lead vocals and rhythm guitar of Southern California's tribute to Metallica band Damage Inc. They have been playing Metallica's music for over a decade, and you may have seen them on AXS TV's The World's Greatest Tribute Bands. Damage Inc. Southern California's tribute to Metallica is the foremost Metallica tribute band in the United States. Also, Damage Inc. has played for numerous Metallica fan club chapters, and they have played many shows in New Mexico, all over the U.S. So, Chris, how's it going, man?
Great, John. Thanks for having me on.
Not a problem, and I'm going to say this first and foremost, and people can get mad at me all they want to, but you guys do one hell of a job as a Metallica tribute band.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that. We're huge Metallica fans. That's a huge compliment, man. We appreciate that.
I know there's other ones out there that do a hell of a job too, but I think you guys take it to another level as far as like the sound of Metallica. You sound like Hatfield, and that's the way it should be if you're going to do a tribute band. The band, when they do the songs, sound almost identical to what you're listening to on an album. So that's kudos to you guys. Well,
thanks, man. Everybody tributes it kind of in their own way. We try and do the best we can to make it sound, how we want. And I'm glad that you like it. And we've getting ready to celebrate our 15th year of doing it. So we're it's been an awful long ride and a fun one.
So Damage Incorporated is a tribute to Metallica. However, why not be your own band instead of a tribute band? Let's talk about that a little bit. What made you guys say, let's just do a tribute band instead of just doing our own stuff?
Well, I think for us, we were all just kind of weekend warrior musicians. All of us work day jobs. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite pay the bills. So when it came to doing the music gig, initially I actually didn't even really have any interest in being in a band. I just kind of picked up guitar, was playing some songs here and there, and my brother was in a band and kind of talked me into joining his band at the time. And we just kind of started playing. So when we actually started doing gigs and stuff, I was really introduced to it as sort of doing a cover thing or not really a tribute thing at first, but it was just kind of a fun hobby, that sort of took off into something that just kind of grew into a life of its own a little bit. It's kept us pretty busy, and it's been something fun to do for the last 15 years.
I can't imagine. To play your favorite band's music and be a tribute band to them and get to do that for, you said, almost 15 years now. That's pretty solidification right there for me.
It's certainly been a long ride. We're lucky to have been doing this as long as we have, and still we still enjoy doing it. We're looking forward to 2019 and what that has in store, and I don't see us slowing down anytime.
What's impressed or excited you the most about being in a tribute band to Metallica, Chris? What's impressed or excited you the most about all this?
What's impressed me the most has probably been the sort of like just the fanaticism of the fan out there. So we ourselves are Metallica fans, and we're pretty hardcore Metallica fans, we would say. And it's amazing to see that the tribute scene kind of gets that same sort of love that the real band does when it comes to the fans out there. That we have people that will follow us from show to show, and even out of state in some cases. So it's really kind of cool. That's one of the things. The other thing that one of my favorite aspects of it, at least, is doing the all ages show and seeing the young kids that weren't even around when the songs were written. They're out there wearing the shirts and throwing the horns up and learning the songs and singing along, and it's it's kind of cool to see the next generation grow up listening to that kind of music.
When you guys are doing this, man, does that give you, I guess, that high, as they say? Does that give you that adrenaline rush to keep doing this as a tribute band?
I would definitely say that's an aspect of it too. If you get on stage and you're playing music of a band that you adore, to people that adore the music like that, and you're getting an energy from them, and it's kind of feeding into your energy. It can be addictive. Certainly. I think we, you kind of chase that a little bit every show. We still have it. I still have that fire. Our band seems to still have that kind of hunger for that too, and having fun doing it. But it's certainly can be an adrenaline rush at times.
When this band was coming together and you started getting out there a little bit, what was your reaction when people started taking a notice to the band?
We were as excited as hell if anybody kind of noticed us. I mean, when we were starting off, we didn't launch right into playing a lot of shows or anything. We kind of started off locally doing some of the clubs at the time, like Palladino's out in the Valley. McMurphy's used to be a club out in Pasadena that we played quite a bit. There was a place out in Huntington Beach that was called Surf City Saloon that we used to rock out. So it was like if we, just to start to get a following in those kinds of places was pretty awesome. I think one of the first times we started selling T-shirts and people actually came to our shows wearing a Damaging T-shirt, was a pretty cool moment as a tribute band. You're like, hey, that's pretty awesome. You're wearing a shirt to our band. So yeah, it was really cool starting off like that.
What was the appeal to be a Metallica tribute band? What set it all off for you guys? Say, hey, let's just do this.
Well, we kind of got started doing covers. As I was saying before, it was kind of my introduction to doing it. When my brother kind of got me to join the band, we were a cover band at the time, and we'd always kind of played harder rock stuff. So Metallica, Megadeth, System of a Down, Godsmack, and those were fun songs to do, but I've always been a huge Metallica guy. And when we started off doing the cover band, right in the beginning, we had a guy in the band who was no longer in the band, obviously, but his kind of rule was, well, I don't want to be a Metallica tribute, because we would do the Metallica songs, obviously, and those naturally sounded, better, because those were the ones we had a lot of fun playing. But his rule was he didn't want to be a Metallica tribute band, and so as soon as he kind of left the scene there a little bit, I think we just kind of naturally fell into doing that, because those songs kind of felt the strongest for us, I think. Another thing that was a catalyst for that was, we were kind of playing some of the smaller clubs, similar to some of those that I mentioned before, but we were seeing some other tribute bands or bands that were tributing one act play clubs like Anaheim House of Blues or some of the bigger venues, and we're like, well, it'd be kind of cool to just play Metallica music and, play a venue like that and, kind of put on a show. So that kind of started that fire or that direction, and it just sort of took off from there.
Damage Inc. has a tribute album out of Metallica. When putting this together, was it difficult to pick songs for it? Because, for me as a Metallica fan, that would be kind of hard, because you got all these albums to go through, what songs to put on it.
It always is a little bit. When you get asked that, you're inevitably asked the question, what's your favorite Metallica song? And that's always a tough one to answer, because it's like they have this vast library, and, there's just so many songs out there. So yeah, when we were talking about doing an album, I think a couple of different things factored into it. I think not only were there songs that we felt would be, popular and kind of span a little bit of the range of the library there, but they were also kind of what we felt were our strongest songs ability-wise. And so I think that was that kind of factored into it a little bit too. The other thing that we kind of considered was, we planned, and we're still kind of in the stages of doing this, but we planned on releasing, a CD with some of the songs that didn't make the first one. So I think, again, that's still kind of in the works right now, but I think with that on the horizon, it was a little bit easier to not, feel the need to cram everything into that first CD.
What about the sales? Are you shocked that you guys have sold a lot of these so far?
Yes, absolutely. To be honest with you, we wanted, it's the reason we actually put out a CD at all, because people were asking for it. We'd go to shows and they're like, hey, how come you guys, why don't you do a CD? Maybe you guys should sell a CD. So we kept getting that, and we're like, well, maybe we should. That'd be a good idea to do. And so just the fact that people wanted it at all was kind of a shock. And then to, actually get some sales out of it and see that, people were downloading the songs out there was even a little crazier to me. But, it's pretty cool. I think, it's humbling, that somebody would want to buy our interpretation of the music, I guess.
Have you had any support from Metallica on being a tribute band to them? Have they had any input on this at all with you guys?
No, not directly. We, my brothers had the pleasure of meeting them. He got a fan meet and greet that he won as a legacy member back in 2008, and so he got to meet the band and gave them, all the merchandise that we had at the time, I think, which was maybe a T-shirt and a CD, and I don't know if we had hats or anything, but they got all of the Damage Inc. swag that we had available. But I think that was pretty much the only introduction they've had out there. I know they've had some dealings with other tribute bands where they had an overzealous lawyer at some point kind of smacked down one of the tribute bands out there for a logo design, and I think they had another band that had their gear stolen that they were kind of instrumental, bad pun, in getting their gear kind of returned to them, or at least getting some new gear for them. So I know they're pretty supportive of the scene overall, but we haven't had any real direct contact with them in that aspect.
I know you mentioned just a little bit ago about incorporating the songs on the tribute album. It was kind of difficult on that. But do you have any favorite that you like to play live and possibly that's on that disc? I mean, I know it's hard to pick, but I mean, do you have a couple favorites maybe?
Well, for me, it's usually, I like a lot of the new stuff. And a lot of that tends to be because it's new. It throws something kind of different in the set. We just celebrated the 30th anniversary of Van Justice for All.
Yes, sir.
Last year, and so we played that album and learning some of those songs that we haven't played before, in some cases, or in a bit. With some of those are fun. As far as some of the old school, like the classic songs, I'd probably say my favorite, still to this day, is the first Metallica song that I heard that got me into it in the first place, which is Fade to Black.
Yes.
Just overall from start to finish, I think that's probably just my favorite song. Kind of encapsulates the band for me.
What do you hope folks take away from the cover album, or message you hope they hear while listening to it, or just any of Damage Inc.'s music at all whatsoever, especially when they come out to a show or anything like that?
Well, my goal in playing a show is to try and make whoever's there feel like they're seeing Metallica as best as we can do. We don't try and dress. I mean, you don't have to go too deep into the costume world to look like Metallica when it comes to their outfits and stuff. So we don't really try and replicate too much of the look. I got a little fortunate with some of the similarities between James and myself. Although he's rocking a pretty cool mustache right now, and I can't grow one to save my life. So I think this is where our facial hair parts ways, James. But yeah, I mean, we just try and replicate the sound. We're just such fans of the music, and it's for people to come out and appreciate what we do, and our replication of the music means the world to us, and really kind of keeps us going. And it's humbling. It's humbling that people enjoy it.
All right, so we know Metallica has a huge library, of course, of albums. What's your favorite Metallica album? What was it for you, man?
I'd say from cover to cover, probably album is going to be Master of Puppets,
Yes,
and
sir.
they're all really close. I mean, I like them all, but that's probably just a split above, a couple of the other ones out there. I think after initially latching on to Fade to Black, kind of dove into that album. So that one has a pretty special place for me too. Ride the Lightning. But Master of Puppets, I think cover to cover is probably my favorite overall. Just the musicianship and the writing there. I think that's kind of when the band, at least with the writing elements that they had at that time, they were at their peak, in my opinion. And I just think that the music was just head and shoulders above anything else at that time.
And I think Cliff Burton took them to that extra plateau, if you ask me, on that album as well.
I agree, and I also think that that's why people that are kind of searching for that sort of sound nowadays might not capture that specific sort of sound, or you might see a little bit of a difference from that album on. And he was, a big contribution when it came to the writing. So I absolutely agree with that. I think that, unfortunately, when they lost him, there was an aspect of the writing that they lost with it. Not to take away from anything that they did afterwards.
Right.
I think that they have some great music, but it's just different minus that collaboration.
Here's another thing, too, and people's going to say, no, I'm wrong on this, but I'm actually right. If you go back and you do your history on Metallica, Cliff was the one who actually got them to do instrumental on each album that they put out. Cliff was the sole bearer of that, to get them to do that. And I
believe you're right. I'm sure I've heard that somewhere before, too. And yeah, I'm sure that, when you can Monday morning quarterback it and go Google it, somebody might find that's wrong. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I heard that at some point myself. I do know that he was a big part of the overall music theory and a lot of the arrangement, when it came to that. And so it wouldn't surprise me for that to be true. And again, I'm pretty sure I've heard the same thing myself.
And I think that's cool that they did that they did instrumental music like that on their albums. So many bands don't do that, and that's to each their own. I understand that, but I think that set Metallica, also that part as well, apart from everybody else out there from doing what they were doing. That's just me.
It definitely was not something that was being done at the time, for sure. It set them apart from pretty much every band at that time, for the most part. And certainly in the metal, or thrash metal genre.
How much growth musically have you seen this band go through up till now? And also, has it been more of a personal growth for each of you guys all involved with this?
Yeah, I mean, and I'd say that there's been a lot of growth over the years. I've had the benefit of doing this band from day one, like I said, with my brother. So, I mean, we've been inseparable, for life pretty much, but it's certainly the last 20 years. Or 30 years since we've been doing that, or 20 years, since we've been doing this together. Our guitar player, Chris, has been a friend of ours for a long time. I actually, I'm at our former guitar player's house, Dave Gold, right now. We're hanging out. He's my brother's roommate, so we're all still friends. So we've had a couple of member changes over the years. We all remain friends. We all kind of hang out. It's all one big family, and it continues to grow every year. I think we learn a little bit more about ourselves and each other, and kind of ways to kind of face the challenges that are thrown at us sometimes each year. And I think it makes us a better band.
Yeah, and this Dave they didn't kick out and give a bus pass to. I'm sorry. I had to say it.
Yeah, no, you did not get a bus pass and get kicked out of the band.
I'm sorry.
Did not send him back.
All right, so Damage Inc. was on AXS TV's The World's Greatest Tribute Bands. Was you guys approached to be on the show, or did you have to submit anything for it to get onto the show?
We actually were fortunate enough to kind of get in on the first season, right when they were starting to talk about doing it, and it was my understanding that Mark Cuban was involved and wanted a Metallica band, and so they did a search, I think, online, and happened to find our band. So they asked us if we'd be a part of the first season, and we were lucky enough to do that. It was awesome and terrifying all at the same time. Being on live TV, without any breaks or anything. But it was very cool. Not only to do that first season, but also to be asked back for a second season. and to do it again. So it was really quite an experience.
How much support do you get from venues and maybe getting some airplay for the covers and stuff? Do you get a lot of support or no?
Yeah, occasionally. I mean, if we're playing a local show out there, they'll ask us for a couple of tracks, and we'll send them out, and they'll usually, for playing out there in the weekend, some radio stations will run some promos with our music on there for the weekend. So we get some exposure occasionally out in some places out there.
I know you said you've been doing this with your brother ever since he started the band, but what was the spark? What made you want to become a musician? What was that spark for you, Chris? I said, yeah, that's what I want to do right there.
Yeah, I've always had the music bug. We always sang in the family. We always kind of had that musical inclination. As far as actually, starting off playing rock music and stuff, I was a little bit of a late bloomer. I didn't pick up a guitar until I was 18, but again, it was as a result of hearing Metallica right when I, kind of started playing that guitar that sort of launched me down this path. So I would say Metallica was probably the spark that at least, kind of got me into guitar playing and eventually into the tribute band scene here and doing this. But always had music in my heart since I was a kid.
Is there a country that stands out or shocks you that Damage Inc. gets support from, like sales or playing your music, your cover music and things like that? Is there a country that shocks you that you guys get support from?
It's any international stuff I find is shocking. I mean, again, we're just a group of Metallica fans that are fortunate enough to play the music, and so again, anybody that wants to buy our stuff, I think is awesome. We've done some international shows like in Mexico, and they're real appreciative of the Metallica music down there, and they definitely let us know. They show it. They're awesome fans, just like they are up here too. But Mexico was it definitely comes to mind. That was a fun place to play.
Do you have maybe like a bucket list location that you guys want to play at, possibly? I mean, I know you guys want to play with Metallica for sure, but I mean, is there like a venue or arena or somewhere that you want to see Damage Inc. finally get to play at?
That's a tough one. I don't know. We've done a lot of places out there. Maybe the Pacific Amphitheater would be a cool place to play. That might be a cool venue. We're, I think, talking about doing another Orange County Fair show at the Hangar here soon. So that's an awesome venue. I always enjoy playing that place. But if I had a dream or bucket list venue, I'd probably say like the Pacific Amphitheater.
Have you guys had a show or a moment that stands out to you guys that made you think and say, this is really worth everything that we have put into this so far? Have you guys had that moment yet?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I'd say probably one of the first Anaheim House of Blues shows we did, kind of felt that way. Or it was just like, oh, man, we made it. It's like,
yeah.
But we've done some pretty fun things. We got to play Newfoundland, Canada last year, which was awesome. Everybody was super awesome out there. Just getting to travel, and see new places and meet new people, and the band has afforded us that opportunity. That's a really cool thing.
But is it kind of weird though, being a tribute band and getting this recognition like this somewhat? I mean, does that kind of play in a bit?
It feels weird sometimes, only because people will sometimes ask us for an autograph or design stuff, and it to me, it absolutely humbled that you would even ask, and I'm more than happy to do it. But it's just weird because I'm not really the guy, But yeah, it's really cool. Again, I think it just boils down to that appreciation, our friends out there. We've got such an awesome group of friends that follow the band and are so cool, and it just kind of really surreal.
What's your top album or albums for 2018?
Top album or albums? I've been really listening to the new Judas Priest. Been digging that a lot. I'm hoping there's a new Damage Inc. album coming out in 2019 here. We're like I said, it's in the works, and we're kind of dawdling along here a little bit, but hopefully we'll be releasing something here shortly.
Are you guys wanting to do like a summer release, winter release, or don't know as of yet?
Don't know as of yet. We're still kind of in the recording phase on the songs. But hopefully maybe later this summer.
Chris, I would like to say, as a Metallica fan, you guys have knocked it out of the ballpark. I like your guys' version of Metallica that you guys put out there, and it's pretty damn cool. So thanks, man.
Well, thank you, John. And again, I appreciate you having me on here, and look forward to speaking with you again.
Yeah, anytime. Hey, before I let you go, how can folks stay in touch with you guys, buy some merchandise, tour dates, keep in touch? How can they do that?
Best way is to hook us up online at damageinc.us.us.
And before I let you go, good sir, would you care to do a promo for my show?
Sure, absolutely. This is Chris Knight of Damage Inc., and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We have some awesome, awesome music coming up. You only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and BODS Mayhem Radio Network. Please get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our YouTube and our podcast links on it. Also, get out and check out Damage Inc.'s page. They do an awesome, awesome job of Metallica music, and I'm not just saying it just because Chris is on here, but they do a really fantastic job of it. So, Chris, Happy New Year, I should say, and the best of luck in 2019 for you guys.
Thanks, John. Same to you.
Now you're the golden.